So I'm going to redo that slide since I forgot to hit the recording. But muscle testing is super confusing for a lot of people. How many people have actually felt worse after having an appointment with a chiropractor or PT? Maybe you've had some emotion work done and left feeling worse. Maybe you get confusing results when you're muscle testing. Maybe you just don't know where to start or even how to do it. There can be a lot of confusion with muscle testing, and that's what we're going to clear up today. All of these issues with muscle testing that people have is what we teach in DNA, which is dynamic neuromuscular assessment. Muscle testing in applied kinesiology is simply binary, meaning it's yes or no, or it's on or it's off. With DNA, we do something completely different. We use 4 modes of dysfunction or 4 modes of testing. Why is this important? Because something can look normal, but actually have a hidden dysfunction in it. With the DNA template that we teach, or I teach and my mentor Joseph teaches, it gets you to find the root cause. So there's no guessing. There's no like, well, it might be this, it might be that, it could be this, it could be that. DNA is a template, and that template can be used for anything. It can be used for emotion work. It can be used for anything structural. Maybe you're a massage therapist, maybe you're a chiropractor. It can be used for anyone who does functional medicine, or all of us who are reading the AO scan reports. You get overwhelmed with all of that information and data. Where do you start? How do you sift through that information? DNA is basically a strategy, which I can't tell you too much about it, but we're going to go into how I do this with my clients. And it's a way to communicate with your nervous system. There are multiple reasons why muscle testing can be skewed. And this list is probably not exhaustive, but we're going to go over some of the basic ones. You could be dehydrated. So think about, as I'm going through these, think about what you do during the day when you're with your clients or you're muscle testing yourself. So dehydration is a factor that can lead to a skewed muscle response test. Maybe your upper cervical, your C1, C2 vertebrae is out of alignment. That could be another reason. Maybe you're surrounded by EMFs. Maybe you live near a 5G tower. That could be another reason why your test could be skewed. Maybe your client has tattoos and piercings. Those will interrupt the energy flow, which can make your muscle test inaccurate. Maybe you're not grounded. Maybe you're switched. I know I've been doing a lot of posts lately about switching. What even is switching? Switching basically means you're stating one thing but doing something else. Your nervous system is in fight or flight. Your nervous system is like, it's strung out, it's up here, it needs a break. It's also called neurological disassociation. Some people call it reverse polarity. It's all basically saying the exact same thing. We also have, you could be muscle testing on the side of pain. So maybe someone has a right shoulder injury that you don't know about, but you're using that arm to muscle test them. In DNA, we usually don't do that. We will find an indicator that is not injured. So that could skew your results as well. We also have, we all know what happens in our minds affects our body and our cells and our DNA. So thoughts, if you walk up to a person and you think, oh, this test is going to be strong, you've already made that test strong. So your thoughts can actually interfere with the results of the muscle test. There could be some prejudice behind it. You could be stressed. There could be mental and emotional stress between either yourself or the client. Heavy metals, improper breathing. In DNA, one of the big things we teach is diaphragm breathing the correct way. Diaphragm breathing essentially is the entry point to regulating and having a conversation with the nervous system. There are a lot of people who have, we're going to call it hypertonic or improper breathing because they're stuck in fight or flight. That's going to affect all of the muscle testing that you do. Cranial faults is another big one. So this is why I love doing craniosacral therapy, because those cranial faults can actually lead to an improper muscle test. So just think about all those different things and think about the things that you do with your clients every day and how you're muscle testing yourself. And then you're going to take a step back and be like, are those really even accurate? Because again, if we're not getting accurate indicator tests or accurate muscle testing tests, how are we really communicating with the nervous system? How accurate is our language? Other reasons could be maybe someone has an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, or rings are another one. I've seen a lot of people become inhibited or hypertonic, we call it, because of those type of devices or rings or anything like that. Someone who is crossing their legs. If you have jewelry and watches on. I had a client way back when who we thought it was the belly ring, the actual piercing, that was making the core weak, the transverse abdominis, when in actuality, it wasn't the piercing, it was the titanium that was in the piercing that was actually inhibiting the core and the transverse abdominis. So again, just stuff to kind of think about. When we are doing muscle testing or communicating with your nervous system, we must keep an open mind at all times. So again, that goes back to if you think something's going to be weak or strong, or you're going to find X, Y, and Z, you're going to see that happen. In applied kinesiology, we use something called an indicator. So you can do a direct muscle test, or you can do an indicator test. The indicator, think about this. The indicator is only giving us an indication to guide us. It is not telling us that it is 100% fact. So I don't know about you, but after reading through all of this, I sat and questioned how accurate was all of my muscle testing that I was doing. This brings me back to DNA. In DNA, we use 4 modes of response. What does that even mean? In most applied kinesiology concepts and muscle testing, it's simply yes or no. The muscle is on, the muscle is off. Something is a yes, something is a no. With DNA, we look at 4 different reasons. So we obviously have normal, and then we have weak, which is hypotonic. We also have hypertonic. So if we think of a barometer, that barometer is dialed all the way up, and now the noise is high. The immune system, the nervous system is all in fight or flight. It's too much. Hypotonic or weak, now the barometer is dialed the other direction. Okay, so now there's not a lot of input. The magic is functional dysfunctional. What does this mean? So functional dysfunctional could be the movement looks okay, the muscle test looks okay, but when you check the indicator's saying no. There's something hidden underneath that normal muscle test. So you can think about all the times you've muscle tested or sway tested and you get a yes. Is it really? Or is there a hidden dysfunction underneath of it? This brings me to ANS testing, or autonomic nervous system testing. This is something that I've been using more exclusively in the last year because for multiple reasons. One, you guys already saw all the different reasons why muscle testing can be skewed or difficult. not only for yourself, but if you're trying to teach your client. DNA is great, but trying to teach clients how to muscle test themselves that way can be difficult. It can be very confusing for people because they don't understand the 4 modes of response. This is why I like autonomic nervous system. What is the ANS? You guys, most of you guys should probably know this, but your autonomic nervous system is the part of your nervous system where your body is doing things automatically. So let's think about this. You don't think about how you breathe. You don't think about how much your blood has to pump, the heart has to pump the blood. You don't think about your pupils dilating or constricting. All those things are things that your body does automatically. The 2 indicators that I teach my clients is heart rate and breathing, because they are the easiest things for most people to learn how to do. You can also use your blood pressure, digestion, urination, your pupils, your body temperature, your metabolism, your sodium and calcium, or your electrolyte balance, bodily fluids, coughing, sneezing, swallowing, vomiting, and bowel movements. There was a point in time where I didn't understand a lot of this stuff. Now I probably have up to about 16 different indicators that I can use in my body at any point in time to communicate with me with what my body needs. When I first started doing this work, there were only 2 indicators, breath and heart rate. So that's what we're going to start with today. We're just going to think about breath and heart rate, not all these other ones. These other ones will come as you start to widen and broaden that language of your nervous system. Your autonomic nervous system also consists of your parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest system, and your sympathetic, which is your fight or flight. In DNA, before we can even do a session, much less a treatment, we have to make sure that person's nervous system is in parasympathetic. Why? Because if we don't, we're not going to get any accurate muscle tests. Nothing's going to stick. No corrections are going to hold if someone isn't fight or flight. It's like trying to yell at your kid while your kid is trying to learn algebra. It's just not going to happen. You must be in a parasympathetic state. When you think about eating a meal, we want to be in a parasympathetic state so that your food can be processed and broken down and digested. You don't digest food well when you're in a sympathetic state. We also have the enteric nervous system, which again is what I just talked about, is how we digest and break down the food that we are eating. A big factor with autonomic nervous system testing is our emotions. Our emotions can affect the ANS system. So when I do emotion work and belief work, we are tapping into not only the emotion, but also what's happening in your autonomic nervous system. This is what starts the communication with your nervous system. This is what starts the language that you can create and develop based on what you're hearing, seeing, feeling, tasting, any of that in your body, because we like to bring in the 5 senses as well. So how do we even do this? This is actually much easier to do than muscle testing or 4 modes of response, muscle testing and DNA. So what I want you guys to do right now, this is how we're going to find our yes. I want you to think of a place that's happy to you. Now, it could be you're at the beach, you feel the sun, you can hear the waves, you smell the salt air, you could be at the mountains. It doesn't matter. I want you to take a couple of minutes and I want you to think of a place that makes you happy. And then what I want you to do as you're thinking about it, I want you to see where you're at. I want you to see if you smelled. What do you smell in the air? What do you hear? Do you hear the fir trees? Do you hear a babbling creek? And then what I want you to do is notice what your heart rate is doing and what your breathing is doing. Your breathing should feel pretty expansive. It should feel deep, like deep down into your abdomen and pelvic floor area. Your heart rate should be pretty low. I want you to then to take a snapshot in your mind of how all of that feels. That is your yes. That is your nervous system's way of telling you, yes, this is what I need. I do need this supplement. I do need to go to dinner with this friend. I do need to buy this house or get this job. That is your body's one way of telling you, with the two indicators of breath and your heart rate, that this is good for me. This is a yes. This is what I want. Now, on the flip side, we're going to find our no. Finding no is usually pretty easy for people because I want you to think of something that makes you upset or angry. Maybe someone just pulled out in front of you. How does that make your body feel? What does your heart rate do? And what does your breathing do? And take a couple minutes to kind of check in with that. Notice what your body physically and physiologically is doing at that moment. Usually when people think about anger, they get warm, their heart rate starts to beat faster and elevates, and the breath usually becomes very constricted. They're now stuck up here and it's not low and deep and expansive like it should. Depending on how good you get with this, you'll start getting more indicators of, like, maybe you now have a lump in your throat. Maybe your mouth is dry. Maybe your pupils are constricting. You're going to start to notice what your body is revealing to you when these specific emotions and feelings come forth. This is the key. As we start to understand what the yes and the no is, you can start to create a dialogue of how you can communicate with your nervous system. Because understand, all day long, every day, your nervous system is communicating with you. Should I be eating this food? Should I not be eating this food? Should I be going to this job? Do I hate my job? The phone rings. It's your friend. They want to go to dinner. Do I go? Do I not go? What is your nervous system telling you? What is your body relaying to you? Right now, you guys have just learned two indicators, your heart rate and your breathing. Tap into that and notice when you're in specific situations, like notice how you feel when you're at work versus when you're at home. Notice how you feel when you're with certain people, when you're not with those people. Notice how you feel when you eat certain foods versus other foods. There's actually a test that you can do where you eat a little bit of food and then you check your heart rate. And then your heart rate, if it's a food that you shouldn't be eating, is actually going to elevate. That is your body. That's one way your body is telling you, yeah, we can't be eating this food. There might be a sensitivity. There might be an allergy there. Let your body tell you what it needs. Now, one of the big things, and you guys have probably heard me talk about this before, about keeping the container safe. So what does this even mean? The way the nervous system works, if the compensation was put in place by the nervous system as a way to keep you safe, when you remove that, the nervous system will need to come up with another strategy to fulfill that gap or that need. This can occur emotionally, structurally, or physiologically. And it's going to replace that because your brain's trying to keep you safe. Many times, this other thing is not going to be good. It's going to be maladaptive. So this will start to explain why, let's say you go see some type of therapist and you leave feeling worse. This is the principle behind that, because something was removed that your nervous system was not ready for yet. It was using that as an adaptive strategy to keep you safe. So it was removed, which takes me to the next analogy of kicking the leg out of a three-legged stool. When that compensation has been removed, it essentially can blow up the nervous system. And that's why people sometimes feel worse after specific therapies or modalities that have been done, because the wrong thing was treated. We have another analogy in DNA, and that is the three-legged stool. And it is literally a three-legged stool. If you remove one of those compensations, this is going to create a void in the container, which is you, your nervous system. Something was removed that shouldn't have been removed. That creates a void. This is the analogy of kicking the leg out of a three-legged stool. If you kick that one leg out, that stool is going to fall over or crash. The same thing happens with the nervous system. If you remove something that's not meant to be removed, oftentimes that person will blow up and get worse, or the brain, the nervous system will insert another strategy to keep you safe. And that other strategy may not be adaptive. It may not be safe. So this can explain a lot of times, again, why people sometimes feel worse after specific treatments. And this is why it's so important in DNA to know what you're working with, to be able to communicate with the nervous system, to be able to have that communication and know exactly what your body needs at that point in time. When the nervous system chooses an option to fill the void from our structure, physiological, or limbic associations, which is our emotions, the client will have an adverse response to that treatment. So I had posted something the other week about myself who had some emotion work done, and someone had removed an emotion from me, and I was blown up for quite a few weeks, and I couldn't figure out why. Then I take DNA and then understood this concept, which makes me understand the emotion that was cleared or removed was not meant to be cleared and removed at that time, because my body was holding on to it as an adaptive strategy to try to keep me safe. So essentially something was removed that my body was like, nope, not ready. I'm still holding on to this. With DNA and being able to communicate with your nervous system, you avoid all that. Follow the breadcrumbs. This is something else we talk about. And for you AO-scan people, it's the same thing Deb Bruce talks about, where you're looking for the why. You're always looking for the cause of the cause of the cause. I like to call it reverse engineering. So an example would be, let's just say someone has low stomach acid. So yes, we definitely need more stomach acid, but in my mind, I'm thinking why? Why is this person low stomach acid? What is the cause? We need to go back up the chain or reverse engineer or follow the breadcrumbs, however you want to look at it. If someone has a stressed out nervous system, maybe vagal tone isn't where it needs to be, that is all going to affect hydrochloric acid, how your stomach secretes stomach acid. So simply giving stomach acid or you taking stomach acid will work for the interim, but at some point you're going to want to figure out why that person has low stomach acid. So then you'll start looking for the cause of the cause of the cause, which could be cortisol, could be adrenals, it could be stress, it could be emotions, maybe someone's stuck living in mold. Anything that's like spiking that cortisol is going to create stress in the body. Where is it coming from? With our DNA template, it avoids guessing. So like I just ratted out all of those things. It could be any of those things. How do you know where to start? How do you know where to go? There are three fundamental principles of what you're going to find going on with people. It's either going to be a structural problem, or it's going to be a limbic or an emotional problem, or it's going to be physiological. Those are the three areas that you can select from of why something might be going on with either yourself or one of your clients that you're working with. So with the DNA template, which again, I can't teach that because we're not teaching DNA today, but we are following the breadcrumbs because we are asking the correct questions. Is this structure? Is this physiological? Is this limbic or emotional? Where do I start? Which one is it? Let's just figure out one of those three first. Then we want to make sure we are working with something that is a priority. I'll give you an example. I had a client a couple of years ago, came to us with back pain, unresolved back pain for 30 years, saw multiple chiropractors, PTs, the whole gamut. Nothing helped. The client only needed 6 sessions. The first 2 sessions, limbic and emotional came up as a priority, but it wasn't safe for me to clear. It wasn't safe for me to work on because the nervous system was saying, no, I'm not ready yet to let go of this. So we worked on the secondary component, which was structure. And the issue was he couldn't diaphragm breathe into the core and the pelvic floor area. So first 2 sessions I did was that. The last 4 sessions we did was all limbic and emotional. I tell you that because limbic and emotional was the priority the first 2 sessions, but the client's nervous system was telling me, no, you can't do this yet. But after working on the 2 sessions where it was all structure, when we got to session 3, 4, 5, and 6, it was now safe for me to work on the priority of the limbic system and the emotions. Now, if I would have not listened to that and would have tried to push the emotional or push the limbic, I probably would have blown that client up and he probably would have left worse than when he came in. We also want to make sure if we're working on anything, and again, this is anything, structure, physio, or limbic, that is it a priority? Is it safe to clear? Can I keep proceeding? As you're mapping and going through your conversation with the nervous system, you're constantly asking yourself, am I okay? Is this safe? Can I proceed? Is this a priority? Nope. Okay, well then I need to go do something else. Is this a priority? Yes. Okay, then I can clear this. I can work on this, whatever it is. This template and this way of communicating with your nervous system, you can use for anything. You can use it if you're doing emotional work. You can do it if you're reading labs. How many people have labs and you see all the things that are wrong and it's like, where do I start? Well, is it structure, limbic, physiological? Which one's the primary? Which one's the secondary? Is this a priority? Is this even something that I need to be addressing? You can use it for structural work, literally anything, because it's a template for your life. So DNA is what I teach, and my mentor, Joseph Schwartz, he's an engineer, and this is his life's work. He's been doing this for, I think, almost 30 years now. If you want to take it online, you can. Module 1 is on our website, Kimberly Quantum Collective. I have a university now. The way this works is you will take the theory, if you want to learn how to do this, because this is, again, how I'm reading all the AO scan reports. You take the theory online, and then when you're ready to take the in-person, either Joseph or myself will offer a in-person class so that you can learn the hands-on technique part. So there's two parts to DNA Module 1. There is an online version where you take the theory and learn all the juicy stuff that we just talked about today. And then there's part 2 where you take that in person, where you have to learn how to do muscle testing appropriately. Because I will say one of the big things when I come across students who take this, a lot of them come from like muscle testing backgrounds, and they're muscle testing way too hard. I really don't even like to call it muscle testing. It's more nervous system response testing. Because again, we are simply having a conversation with the nervous system. We're not actually testing muscles, which is why I like to use the autonomic nervous system approach, because it's easier for people to understand. It's easier for clients to be able to perform on their own. And when we do all of our one-to-one work with our clients, this is what we teach our clients how to do, because ultimately you can do this. It is not hard. You do not need to pay a practitioner to do this. You can learn to do this at home on yourself. So if something comes up, let's just say it's an emotion and you get triggered, you don't have to wait for a week or two to get in to see your practitioner. You're going to have the tools and the resources to be able to learn how to process the belief or the emotion based on the autonomic nervous system approach that we do, which is what we are doing right now. Currently, we are providing a high value experience with one-to-one mentoring for your own personal tailored support. If you are someone who has suffered from anxiety, panic, brain fog, gut issues, and hormone issues, maybe you've had hot flashes, menopause, weight gain, sleep issues, high cortisol, histamine, muscle and joint pain, fatigue, brain and balance issues, cognitive issues, impaired ability to detox, and skin issues. If you're currently dealing with Lyme, co-infections, mold, Epstein-Barr, Candida, parasites, maybe you're depressed, maybe you have thyroid issues, maybe you just have no zest for life anymore. Maybe you have a hard time creating boundaries and forgiving people who hurt you. These are all the different types of clients that we work with. And we have been able to help all of these clients get through and teach them how to reverse and eliminate all of this. We have our 12-week nervous system reset program. This is the transformation to a new you, where you get to work one-to-one with a coach and learn how to do all of this stuff. We teach you how to heal and seal your gut once and for all. We also teach you how to communicate with your nervous system, which we touched on tonight, the very basics of autonomic nervous system communication. We teach you how to work with your own belief systems and alchemize them. We teach you how to process and walk through the emotional protocol so that you are empowered to be able to do all of this stuff at home or by yourself without needing a practitioner. We teach you how to detox properly. I work with a lot of clients who have seen lots of other practitioners and, have been blown up by doing detox the wrong way. There actually is a right way to do detoxification. And again, having the tools to know, where do I need to start? Is this a priority? Which infection do I kill first? What do I need to build first? All of that is based off of that template that we teach in DNA. We will teach you how to work with your vagus and reset your nervous system. Maybe you're someone who's stuck in fight or flight and switched, and you just do not know how to get yourself out of that. This is the same program that I have used with myself twice since 2016. I've come through Lyme and mold. It's the exact same program that I have created. And I created it because I've been in quite a few other programs and have worked with clients who have done a lot of the top tiered programs. There was a lot of missing components and a lot of missing gaps. So I've taken those gaps from those other programs, including my original program, and created a program that is all encompassing so that you only need one practitioner. You don't need to do a gut healing program with one person and then go do primal trust or go do another nervous system program with someone else. It is all in one program. This same program we previously charged $10,000 for, but you won't be paying that. Those of you who have done our Cephi groups, maybe you've taken the nervous system regulation mini course. Maybe you were in the 4-week quantum shifting program that I ran. Maybe you are currently in our nervous system reset program. Or maybe you took the How to Reset Your Nervous System course I did last year. All of these are basic principles and techniques that we started introducing last year in all of these programs to teach you how to communicate with your nervous system utilizing the autonomic nervous system response and then the DNA template. If you would like to book a call and talk to one of us about any of these programs, you can go to our website, which is KimberlyQuantumCollective.com. That is our website. You can book a free nervous system assessment call if you'd like, if you want more information about this, or maybe you want to talk to one of us about how this could help you. You will also find Kimberly Quantum University tab as well. So if you want to take one of these courses, you can learn how to do that. You can enroll and register for dynamic neuromuscular assessment if you'd like. I am planning on I think in December, we're going to be teaching an in-person class in Florida. I'm just not sure where. So if you'd like to enroll and register in that course, you can. That will give you enough time to get through all of the theory so that you would be ready by December to be able to do the in-person part of DNA. So that's all I have. I'm just going to take a couple minutes. If you guys have any questions and want to ask me anything, you can either unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat.